Welcome in to another episode of the Women's Basketball Now podcast, coming to you on the Hoop Central YouTube channel. As always, this is your host, Hamilton Neal, taking some time to join you today. And we thank you, the viewers, for taking the time to join us as well, as we have a lot to get to here on this episode. Plenty of content coming up here at the end of June. Lots of stuff coming up in the month of July as well. And to make sure that you don't miss any of the stuff that we have coming up, make sure to click subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single upload. Leave a comment if you would like. Also like this video. All of those things that you do help us continue to put out the content just like this. Episodes of Women's Basketball Now, just like this one. Again, here on the show, we have a lot to talk about. And first, we're going to start by talking about Mikaylah Williams, the top-ranked recruit in the class of 2023. She has announced her commitment to the LSU Tigers. More details on that coming up in a moment. We'll then talk about 2027 point guard Jessie Moses. She is gaining some UConn interest right now. And then we'll wrap up by talking about Houston women's basketball, as they've added a transfer from a Big Ten program at Rutgers. So again, let's get things started by talking about Mikaylah Williams, the top-ranked recruit in the class of 2023. Again, she has announced her commitment to Mulkey and the LSU Tigers. The 6'1 guard chose LSU over Ole Miss, Baylor, Duke, and Texas A&M. She was named the Gatorade Louisiana Girls Basketball Player of the Year in March, where she averaged 22.8 points, 8 rebounds, 3.7 assists, and 2.2 steals per game as a junior at Parkway High School. Again, when you watch film of her and when you really start to break down her game, you see as an off guard, as a two-player, the ability to score from all three levels, but she uses the step-back move very consistently. That is the biggest part of her game. When she's out on the perimeter and kind of probing the defense, and whether she's doing this off the dribble or off the catch, she can use that step-back move, like you see James Harden do in the NBA quite consistently. You see James often, again, probing the defense, but just kind of using that hesitation, getting the D off balance a little bit. And I think with the step back, that's what Mikaylah does very well. And she uses that jab step too. Whenever she's trying to get inside or drive or even just try to make the defense think she's going to drive inside, uses the jab step again, uses the step back. I think those two moves are her go-to moves, and I think the defense just always has a hard time figuring her out because of that. So I love what she brings there, and she really is decisive in picking her spots. She is very efficient, shooting off the catch or off the dribble. And I guess it just comes down to she doesn't waste possessions. Again, averaged 22.8 points this past season at Parkway, in large part because she doesn't waste possessions when she has the basketball. Values having the ball in her hand, obviously is best when she's getting the ball on the wing, on the perimeter, and making plays. And again, not as much of a dribble drive kind of player, but very, very confident in her ability to shoot from the mid-range, but also shoot from behind the three-point line. And you've seen this not only in high school play, but also in 3x3 play last year with USA Basketball. She really tore up her opponents with the step back and the jab step and all those moves that I talked about. So I love the addition to the LSU program. Again, for Mulkey and this squad, this is what they need. Because if they want to get back to a Final Four, compete, try to win a national championship, you need players like this to come in. And obviously, their biggest advantage was they were in state. But if Mulkey wasn't there, I think Mikaylah Williams probably would have went somewhere else. Probably would have went to like Baylor, or maybe would have even considered A&M. But again, with Mulkey there, a Hall of Fame coach, one of the best to do it, that's a huge, huge recruiting draw and advantage for them. So obviously the pitch was great. Mulkey, whenever she prioritizes a recruit, it's really hard to say no just because of the success. The track record is there. And like all coaches do, she shows you all the things that she's done in the past, what her programs have done, and what that could mean for you. So I love what Mikaylah Williams did here, going with the hometown school, but also a powerhouse school now in the Southeastern Conference. So Mikaylah Williams there, headed to LSU. Now let's talk about a very, very young player that is gaining some big recruiting interest right now. It's 2027 point guard Jessie Moses. She is getting some interest from the UConn Huskies right now. Now again, I say UConn is interested, and they are. UConn is starting to follow her, watch her play. But I want you to keep in mind, and I've said this before on other episodes of Women's Basketball Now when we've talked about young players, is whenever a player gets interest like this, just don't take it too seriously yet, because, again, especially when we're looking at 2027, that's still a long way from now until these players are in college. So there's still a lot to happen. Recruiting really just hasn't even barely started yet for these players. And when a school comes in with a follow on social media or even a recruiting letter, it's confirmed interest, and that's why we're talking about it. But that doesn't mean that player is going to be a top priority in the future. But again, when you're looking at 2027 class, Jessie Moses is one of the best. At 5'7", again, playing the point guard spot, plays for Philly Rise on the Nike EYBL circuit, the girls EYBL circuit, and plays at the 15U level right now. Again, very young player, still continuing to grow and continuing to develop. And just watching film of her, you see a lot of really, really good things on film. I see a quick release, very smooth ball handler. She finds shots from all three levels of the floor. She's confident in her ability to shoot, but she's very savvy, very smart for a young basketball player, and is a strong finisher for a young guard. Again, she has to get bigger, faster, stronger, but she's already going in amongst the trees trying to find shots. And I like to see that. I like to see the aggression from a young point guard. So even though she's not the strongest yet, she's going to get there and already has that ability to put her head down and attack the rim. Which, again, I think is kind of becoming lost now in today's game of basketball, at least for point guards, because they're starting to fall in love with the three more and more. And again, you look at Steph Curry and the way he revolutionized the three-point shot and the way point guards play. That's how other lead guards have played the game. That's how they've approached it, is three-point shot first and maybe get a floater here or there. But she's really starting to attack the rim. She's getting to the glass consistently. So I love to see that, but also love to see the quick release and just the smooth, consistent form on her jumper. And again, that's the most important thing, thanks to the Golden State Warriors in today's age of basketball, is you have to be able to shoot. No matter what position you play, 1 through 5 now, your value is going to be measured in large part on whether you can shoot the basketball. And I think she is definitely doing that very well. But can distribute, can find some people, and is very good breaking you down. So she has all the traits of an elite point guard right now. And again, I think UConn's starting to get more consistent in extending interest to younger players because they want to show, hey, we're going to be tracking you. Instead of coming on maybe sophomore year, maybe junior year, come in now, like even before some of these players are in high school. Their schools are starting to recruit now. I mean, Louisville's done it for a long time under Jeff Walz. They've recruited players from, 8th grade, 7th grade, as young as that. So interesting to see UConn do it because, again, this has not been something they've done as much in the past. They've been very deliberate with their recruiting, and they still are. They're very selective in who they decide to go after, but they see a young player, and again, it could be Chris Daly or it could be Morgan Valley, following these players on social media, just letting them know with either that or a letter, hey, we're interested, even if it's as early on as this. So like what I'm seeing there from Jessie Moses. And now let's wrap up by talking about Houston women's basketball, a program that we really have not talked about much on women's basketball now before. But again, they've announced a couple of transfer additions to their program, and those would be Kierra Sanderlin and Avalon Miller. So Avalon Miller comes over from junior college, moving up. Kierra Sanderlin comes from Rutgers. And this is the player that I want to focus on. Because for the Scarlet Knights, she really did not get much playing time, really didn't get out on the floor. Only averaged 6 minutes per contest, played in only 10 games. But against number 9 Arizona, got some more playing time, scored 8 points, on 3 of 4 shooting, again, against a very good team. Again, that's a very, very small sample size, just one game out of 10 that she played. But the point is, at 5'10", and you look at her track record and what she did in high school and just the potential that she has if you put her on the floor, Houston could be getting a diamond in the rough here, I feel. Because as a high school senior in San Antonio, averaged 16.9 points, 6.3 rebounds, and 3.7 assists. So clearly can score the basketball if given the opportunity. And if she gets the ball in her hand, again, because she plays more like that off-guard spot, she could really fill it up for sure. And again, this is a Houston team that needs more of that scoring. They need more impact players that can fill it up and put the ball in the bucket. So I do feel like that's a good addition. And Avalon Miller from JUCO, junior college is always a route that D1 schools explore, because a lot of the players that are at the junior college level were not recruited by Division I schools, even Division II schools, and they're constantly overlooked. But then once they start to light it up a little bit, once they start to play well, then D1 schools really start to turn their heads. So I like whenever JUCO is a big factor in D1 transfer recruiting, and we'll see what she brings to the table as well. So that's all that we have on this episode of Women's Basketball Now. Again, still a lot going on right now as far as recruiting. Transfer portal stuff is starting to wind down, but there is still a little bit because some players are still in the portal. No players can enter the portal. Again, that was almost 2 months ago, was the deadline for that. But players are still in the portal, still picking schools. Again, recruiting still going on with offers, with interest, with all of that stuff. So continue to keep it locked here on Hoop Central for all the latest. Again, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thank you for watching.